This video is part 2 of my rebuttal to the rebuttal of Boise, Idaho about the LA Times article blaming Boise for not being able to clear their encampments in their city. It's also going to be a rebuttal to what Donald Trump said in California and the cities in California and other places who have joined in to also try to criminalize the homeless by filing amicus briefs in support of Boise, Idaho's unbelievable fight to criminalize the homeless. They first lost a case here in Idaho, then they took it to the Ninth Circuit and lost the case. It was upheld because it's unconstitutional violation of the Eighth Amendment to arrest people or ticket them for not having any other place to go when the homeless shelters are full, but they're sleeping outside. It's just insanity, and they've spent a massive amount of money, and now they've gotten these liberal cities involved after they have asked the Supreme Court to review the case. I guess they're hoping, because the Supreme Court has a lot of conservative justices now, that they're going to help them criminalize the homeless. And of course it's going to be about the business class, the oligarchy, etc., bullying to get their way. This video is going to be more along the lines of the national effort. Boise has probably spent a lot of money lobbying other states and cities to join them in this effort. We know that shockingly, the president went to California just before a bunch of cities declared that they were going to be supporting Boise with amicus briefs, and a lot of them were liberal cities. That was shocking as well, but the president said some really shocking things, demonizing California, discrediting California, which he does all the time, but also in blaming the people running California for all the homelessness that has accumulated there. Well, they have a huge population of people. Their rents were skyrocketed before everybody else's did, and they have good weather. That's one of the reasons why people go there. I was homeless in Alaska. People from California would fly up there because irresponsibly politicians would announce there were a lot of jobs in Alaska, so they would show up, they would find out they couldn't get a job. The shelter would steal their property and traumatize them, and they would wait for their next SSI check, and they would get a ticket and go somewhere like back. They would go back to California, or they go to Hawaii, somewhere where they could survive the winter because of the moderate weather. And so there are a lot of reasons why there are homeless, and if you look at the, per population type stats, there really isn't that much difference in the numbers here and the numbers there, although I would say that the numbers here in Boise are very inaccurate. I believe a lot of the homelessness is being covered up. As far as I am concerned, the things that Donald Trump has said about California are despicable. While he was campaigning, he would say, oh, I'm going to do something about all of these people living on the streets and stuff. People thought it meant he was going to help the homeless. There's still conservatives who are trolling me and saying that that I'm terrible for speaking up about what he's saying because he's going to help homeless people. No, he's not talking about helping homeless people. I don't know what he thinks is going to happen, but he just wants homeless people gone.
Nearly half of all the homeless people living in the streets in America happen to live in the state of California. What they are doing to our beautiful California is a disgrace to our country. It's a shame. The world is looking at it. Look at Los Angeles with the tents and the horrible, horrible, disgusting conditions. The conditions in Nancy Pelosi's once great city of San Francisco are deplorable. They're deplorable.
Because really, homelessness is a manifestation of poverty. It's poor people without a home. And so, nothing will ever address homelessness like a home.
The President of the United States did not say, look at all of these people who are having to live in these deplorable, horrible conditions, who don't have bathrooms, who don't have healthy food, who don't have appropriate health care, who don't even have a place to sleep or a way to keep warm, bathe, etc. Instead, he seeks to demonize those people, to turn them into others for the right wing, like he keeps doing in many different ways. And once they have a subset of the population, or a population that's in another country, that have been made into others, they feel that they have a license to bully those people. Homeless people have already been traumatized. If you become homeless and you've never been traumatized, you are now going to be traumatized over and over and over. The police are being used to traumatize people, to harm people, to run people off, do all kinds of horrible stuff, to criminalize. Homelessness is criminalized. The stores treat people like garbage that are spending, homeless people who are spending money in their stores. City halls treat people like garbage. The people that work in the homeless shelters, among them, there are people who are sociopathic, who seek to harm people. There's always a subset of sociopaths in the homeless shelters. Your property is stolen. You are threatened with assault. You are assaulted. You have everything that you try to do surrounded with trauma. And so now you've got PTSD, and then they try to use that to say you're mentally ill. And it's not a mental illness, it's a psychological injury. But this is one of the most despicable things I've ever seen. The president taking a subset of the population, citizens of the United States who are in a crisis situation, and not doing something to help them, but instead essentially stomping on them for political reasons, for oligarchic preference reasons. And it's really unbelievably disgusting. And that's why I'm going to vote for Bernie Sanders this time, even though I was angry at him for recommending Hillary. And this man needs to go.
My overall view of the system is going to be completely different than most of the people in the room, because I've been in it. And there is the myth that most of the people who are homeless are mentally ill and on drugs. Yet you talk about how 90% of the people who enter is because of the high rents and the low pay here, but it stigmatizes people in the community. Because if people find out you're homeless, they immediately think you're mentally ill and or on drugs, and you're treated like property. So there are many subsets of homeless people. There is a large subset of sociopaths here who prey on vulnerable people. There are some mentally ill people. But what happens is you go into the system, you were a fully functional person, and you were traumatized, and you were traumatized, and you were traumatized, and you were traumatized. And now you have PTSD, but you get misdiagnosed if you're a female. And you're treated like you originally showed up that way, when what you needed was housing. So where is the housing for a regular person and maybe ends up on disability income, or is a senior who's retired on Social Security. Where's the housing for just a regular person, instead of shoving that person into a homeless shelter where they're preyed upon by sociopaths and Dr. Zimbardo, prison experiment staff, who traumatize them and compound their health problems to an extreme point? Where's that housing?